My name is Jess Cervellon, and I'm super excited to bring you my new podcast, The Juice with Jess. This podcast is going to be about everything in your customer's journey. We're talking acquisition, awareness, making that purchase, retaining that customer, bringing them back around, and everything in between. This is going to be all about delivering dope brand experiences and talking to some really amazing people who are in the customer experience space, the marketing space, and everything in between. Welcome back to another episode of The Juice with me, Jess. This week, I am in New York City with my friend Sam Coxe, who is the founder of Flaus, the first electric floss company. Sam, just tell the people who you are, because I'm going to ruin this.
Yes. Well, I'm so happy to get to be here and get to chat with you. So yes, I am the founder of Flaus. We are the world's first electric flosser. Think of an electric toothbrush, but for flossing, inspired after a painful and expensive trip to the dentist.
Oh, we're going to get into that then.
A lot of dental bills, a lot of shame of lying to my dentist, but it got me here. So I'm thankful for it.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's dive right in,
yes,
my friend. So the other thing is, you left law to start this.
Yes.
Tell me, well, I know about a painful visit, but tell me that whole story. Just dive.
Yes. So I will say that my path to entrepreneurship has been anything but linear. So my background was I'm from Southern California. I went to USC for undergrad, went straight through to NYU Law, got my JD, came back to LA, and I practiced mergers and acquisitions at a massive law firm called Skadden, one of the top law firms in the world, sleeping under my desk, just brutal.
Slaving it.
Yes. Oh my God. I was a full corporate slave.
Yeah.
And, you put in so much time and effort to get to this point, studying for the LSAT, going to law school, studying for the bar. You're kind of just on this path, and then you get there and you're like, this can't be it for me.
I know.
And I remember one day I had a dentist appointment come up in my calendar, and I was a week out from it. And at the time I was an amazing twice a day toothbrusher, but a horrible flosser. So about a week before I start vigorously flossing, so I got in the dentist chair, and she asked, have you been flossing? My answer was yes. And she's knew I was a liar right away, blood everywhere. I ended up leaving with 12 cavities, a multi-$1,000 dental bill. And I came home and I thought, I hate flossing. I love using my electric toothbrush. Why don't I just go buy an electric flosser that could go do it for me? And I literally went on Amazon and Google to go buy one. And I was shocked to discover nothing like it existed.
Wow. So
that was really my aha moment, where I was like, no way. There's electric toothbrushes, but there's not an electric vibrating floss pick.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point, I just thought I kind of stumbled upon something. And I went back into my law firm office the next day, shutting all the doors, going into my friends and colleagues and being like, what do you guys think about flossing? Of course, I've never asked anyone that. I guess it's a shameful thing where I thought that I was the only one not flossing.
Yeah.
But it turns out everyone hates flossing. Hardly anyone is doing it. And when I started talking to my colleagues, that's when I realized, oh my gosh, we all hate flossing for the same reasons.
Yeah.
It's painful, time consuming, gross, everything like that. So that kind of led me into starting the business. And I worked on Flaus while I was an M&A attorney for a year and a half, doing both, put in my notice, launched our Indiegogo campaign, and put my bar license on hold, and I've been off to the races ever since.
Wow. I think that's amazing, man. I think what's really interesting about entrepreneurship. I know. Why did I say entrepreneurship?
It was close, though. It was close.
I just do this.
If you would have kept going, I was not even going to say. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Entrepreneur. I was about to do it again. Whatever. Okay. I don't know why I'm making up these words today. All right. Whatever. What's interesting about being an entrepreneur, how about that?
I love.
Okay. Is that we all just have this aha moment, but it's fucking hard, man.
Oh,
do you ever feel like you're just playing house?
Oh my gosh, all the time. And what's interesting? I don't necessarily think a lot of entrepreneurs, I feel very lucky that I had this aha moment. I think that there are a lot of people that are in search of a problem because they want to be a founder versus having the problem come find you.
Yeah.
I almost feel truly of my own journey that Flaus and this product is meant to exist in the world, and I am merely like the vessel it came to. And if I wasn't the one doing it, it would be someone else. But aside from that feeling like so purposeful, it is so hard. Yeah. It is so hard. It is so glamorized.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because you can be winning these awards and getting these acknowledgments, and externally it looks like, oh my gosh, you're crushing it, you're killing it. But internally it just feels like, pardon my French, like a total shit show.
Yeah.
You know, like you're just like, it's almost like, I like to use the analogy, it's like putting on a fitted sheet over a bed, like the mattress, where like you put on one corner and then the other corner comes up and you're like, wait, and then you go over there to put that one and the next one comes up.
Yeah.
And so you're just constantly trying to figure it out. But man, it is so rewarding.
I know.
It's so rewarding.
So off camera, we were like talking about this, and mine's like completely different. I actually do want to start a brand one day, just because like I want to apply like all of the like experience knowledge, the marketing knowledge, like all the things, right? But I've never been able to pull the trigger because I agree with you. I'm looking for a problem to solve, but at the same time, it's like, who cares?
Right. Oh my gosh. I mean, and there's so many different ways that you can become a founder. I think that there is some benefit to having the problem find you and being the person that experienced the problem, because you understand the pain point. You understand like what would make a good solution. One, I have always known I was meant to be an entrepreneur ever since I was younger. And I've always had like an entrepreneurial spirit of doing things here and there, even in law school. And what I would always challenge myself to do, it was this exercise, is that I think we go through life and there's constant annoyances in every single day life. Like your tank tops keep falling off the hangers in your closet. I think we've been trained to just kind of be like, that's annoying, I'm going to shrug my shoulders and move on, versus being able to recognize a pain point, take a pause and be like, is there a solution to this problem? And you'd be surprised how many solutions you can come up with.
Yeah, totally. So tell me, like, when you started coming out with Flaus, like you started developing it, doing all this stuff, right? Like, what was that starting process like? Like I'm always so curious, like, okay, I have the idea, but now how do I make that idea come to life?
Exactly. And so, especially I'm now a M&A attorney with no engineering background, no dental background, going into oral care, consumer electronic hardware.
Yeah.
And so immediately what I did is I went and I found dentists, obviously, to get on board. And then I went and found an engineer. So I went and I looked at like, okay, what are the two main skill sets I need to actually build this thing? Went and found them. And then I just did so much diligence and research online. So I wanted to make sure before I'm putting a single dollar and leaving my super prestigious job that I just took on all this debt to get here, I actually wanted to make sure that this was a viable business. And so something that I did that I think founders are just starting off who are really scrappy should consider doing is I went and I launched a Survey Monkey. I went and I surveyed about 600 people across the US. It only cost about $1,000. And I asked them about their current oral care habits. What are they using? How often are they even flossing? Are they brushing? What are their feelings? What are the pain points? And then I just gave 2 sentences about Flaus. And it was like, would you purchase this? And then I did some price testing as well. And I just thought when I launched the survey, I just said, I'm just going to see what the results are. If they're not positive, that's enough. That's enough. I don't need to keep doing this. It came back so overwhelmingly positive that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to start investing my own money into this now. Yeah. And it was actually in that survey that one of my 4 hypotheses was turned on its head of thinking that I was building this product for non-flossers because I was a non-flosser. And that's when I discovered my most avid customer was the daily flosser.
Yeah.
And I was like,
want it easier.
They just want it easier. And I was like, and what a benefit, because I then don't have to invest in education and behavior change, which is extremely expensive. And I can rely on Oral-B and Colgate to do that work.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Totally. Right.
Exactly.
Totally. Well, I mean, we'll dive into this a little bit more, but I want to talk about like your marketing, like and acquisition plans. But first I want to, so, okay, you did the survey portions, you've hired the engineers, you've brought in like dentists. Like, I think that's an important thing to call out is that like as founders, as an entrepreneur, you're not it's not all on you.
No.
Sometimes you got to delegate.
Yes, absolutely. And you'd be so amazed how generous people are with their time of wanting to help you. And so I have found a lot of power in just cold messaging on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I do a cold message on LinkedIn. That got me, my first 5 investors were cold messages. A lot of my advisors are cold messages, but just going out to people and saying, hey, I'm Sam. This is what I'm working on. This is your background perfectly aligns with this. You know, if you ever have free time, would you mind helping me? And I think, especially as a first-time founder with no experienced technical skill set in the space you're in, again, I'm not an engineer or dentist, it was critical to be able to be like, you know, put the ego down and be like, I need help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Exactly. Put the ego down and I need help. Like I totally believe in that. And like even for my own stuff, like it's completely different. I'm not offering a product. Like I have services.
Exactly.
Right? And
but
like
still similar.
Yeah. And no, it is similar in the sense. And like, and at some point, like I got to that same point of like, I can't do this all. Like, let me just like bring in people. And that's how my agency was like built. Right.
Exactly.
Like I went from like fractional work to then like, that's why I said to you off camera and off mic that I accidentally like founded a agency because essentially like 3 of us got together and we're like, and I'm super proud of this moment though. Like I have 2 badass girlfriends.
I love
that I worked with at Feastables, and they were like, no, Jess, like we believe in like what you're doing. Like we want to like come and like work with you. And we created this like agency that's
amazing.
Like, just like beautiful missions and values, and, like supporting each other. And like, we don't know where it's going to go. Right. But like the whole landing the plane and like why I was bringing this up is that like, I got to some point where it's like, I can't do this on my own. So like, let me bring in my homegirl, Danny. Then I was like, oh, I really want to do like strategy and insights. Right. Like, because like, I think that's such an important part of the journey. So then Laura like joined me. Right. And now we're like just 3 baddies out here. Like, sup, you know, you open late.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I love that though. And like, yeah, just getting that support and having a team. And, you know, also I feel like as women too, at least on my journey, like I definitely had to build up my confidence to understand that this is something that I could lead on my own as the founder. Like I didn't have to constantly like feel like I needed to go like double check everything I was thinking. And I think it was just, you know, repetition and over time and seeing the success and following my gut and intuition.
Yeah.
But I would never have gotten to that place if I didn't have these amazing advisors and mentors who had walked this path before me. Because you and I were talking about this also offline, was that, you know, you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
There are so many other companies and founders that have already done the hard work, have already spent the thousands of dollars to figure it out, to optimize the page, to optimize this. And it's like, learn from them, not only their successes, but their failures too.
Yeah, totally. So it's like, that's one of the things we were talking about. It's like, you know, like what I'm doing and helping other brands, it's like basically taking the playbook that I wrote like for like retention and CX.
So smart.
And strategy and insights and like helping them. But I will say, you're right, like learning from other people's failures and mistakes, but also like what was really successful. But not like a failure and a mistake could be completely different for an audience.
100%.
Right?
100%.
Like the Feastables audience is like slinging chocolate bars where it's like you're slinging like electric toothbrushes, right? So like my spectacle marketing plan could be completely different.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Exactly. But it's still, I think a lot of the frameworks like still work, but you're right. You can't just like copy and paste from one brand into another.
Yeah.
It all has to be very unique and personalized. And I think that just goes to where we are at right now with the customer journey and experience.
Yeah.
They want a personalized customer experience.
I know.
And it's tough because then we have all these privacy laws, lack of first party data.
Yeah.
So it's like they want this personalized experience, but we don't have enough data to even make it personal. Yeah. And so it's this really interesting kind of like, I guess, paradox we're in, or paradigm we're in right now of trying to figure out how can you apply some of these things that other brands have been able to do, but make it personalized to your customers and their journey.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think that's like a whole subject that I actually really want to get into, and like from a marketing play and like what you guys are doing.
Yes.
But before we get there though, right? I also I want to talk about like, okay, so let's tell me more about Flaus, but like, all right, so you developed products, you've done the insights, you've done all these things. And then what was your marketing play? Like, is it D2C? Is it omni-channel or like, like, tell me.
Yeah. So at the time, so I came up with the idea for Flaus in 2019. I ended up leaving my law firm in 2021. And at that point in time, it was like, I was still in the black box prototype stage, 3D printed prototypes. And I needed to raise money to get to manufacturing and production. I came to learn that consumer electronic hardware is extremely capital intensive. I invested $120,000 of my own savings. I just completely drained my savings. And so I'm fully locked into this. But to get to a manufactured product, it can be $1 million. And so I knew I had to raise. And so at this point, I'm like, I don't have a product. And I'm like, what do I do? It made so much sense to then do a crowdfunding campaign. Yeah. And so I considered Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and I could go into the rationale about why I decided on Indiegogo, but we decided to launch an Indiegogo campaign, and that was wildly successful as well. So we did $360,000 in pre-orders in 8 weeks. We finished in the top 1% of Indiegogo campaigns ever to be on the platform. And that really set us off. So now we have our first 5,000 customers who are like our biggest advocates. They're on the ground floor. We now have like proof of concept that people are willing to buy this product and not just buy it, but wait for it because we have to go manufacture it. And it allowed me to go turn around and raise the money I needed to raise to be able to go build this company. So I turned around, I raised some money off of that. And then we went straight into the manufacturing and production. And we were in beta up until September of last year, 2023, and officially hard launched into market in 2023. And it's been just wildly successful. However, there were so many lows and mistakes made and heartbreaks and tears, like so much drama. And so, but it's all part of the journey, right? So
part of the journey. What would your advice be to any sort of like entrepreneur or founder, like looking to get into it? Like when you're in that lull moment, what would you say to the Sam?
Absolutely. So, without any lows, you can never appreciate the highs. And so the lows are a part of the journey. And I always like to use this. I remember seeing this chart one time, and it was basically like, it was showing someone's journey of like, going like this and then hitting a low. And it was like so many people quit in that low. But if you were just to keep going, you would go back into an up. And when you zoom out, you actually see that lull that felt so huge was actually just a tiny little dip on your upward trajectory. And so trying to keep that into perspective. And also it really helps me to talk to my advisors and mentors. Like one of my closest ones is Dr. Jason of Theragun or Therabody now. And being able to reach out to him and being like, I am feeling bad. I'm feeling lost. I'm feeling like I'm not good enough. I'm not doing a good enough job. And for him to tell me it's totally normal. Yeah. I still feel that way. Yeah. It just helps me understand that this is just part of the journey. And it's so important to detach yourself from the highs and the lows. Yeah. Nothing's ever as good as it seems, and nothing's ever as bad as it seems. Yeah. And it's all happening exactly as it should.
Yeah. Man, it's so crazy that like we're having this portion of this discussion, because I literally this morning woke up and was like, I'm not doing enough. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not doing enough.
I feel
with
it
this
all the time.
Podcast, with my content, with like my full-time job.
Right. You're doing so much. You feel like you can't give 100% to anything you're doing. And you're like, I'm just like doing everything like shit. You're like, I could do so much better. Yeah. But it's like, there's not enough time in the day.
No, there's not enough time. I mean, I definitely compartmentalize my time, and like I've gotten very good at time blocking. But it's really funny that we're having this convo, because like I literally texted Lisa from Sienna. Yeah. Sorry, Lisa, I don't know how to pronounce her last name correctly. Lisa Popovich. But she's my homegirl. Okay. I love. And she's co-founder of Sienna AI. And I like was texting her this morning. I was like, I feel like you're not doing enough. And I needed her. I needed her to be my Theragun guy. She was just like all the time.
All the time.
All the fucking time.
All the time. And just help. And it also, like, for me, I'm such a perfectionist, and I want to always be the best, that it just helps me feel like, okay, that just because I feel this way doesn't mean something's wrong. Because sometimes I'm like, if I feel this way, is there something wrong? Am I like, does this mean like who knows what? But I'm not going to lie. Like I have moments, I have probably gone through on this journey. So I started Flaus now 5 years ago, at least the idea. I've probably gone through 4 different periods of burnout. I've worked my way through 4 different ones. And it's just, and I had them at Skadden. And I think Skadden really taught me, because you would work so hard at Skadden and not sleep. And then you would have these lulls after your deal where you would just kind of crumble. And you're like, I don't know if I could do that again. But being able to know that like you can work your way back through it and taking time off.
Yeah. I don't even know that.
Oh, it is so important, especially like it sounds like you're the same. Like you're so in the weeds of everything that like being able to take time off and take a step back, you then can have that 30,000 foot view of the like vision and the strategy. Because it's like if you're in the weeds, who's leading the ship?
I know.
Right?
I know. Absolutely. Girl,
I know.
I literally just, I don't even want to tell you this. I went to India. Okay. So
amazing.
Like we're in April, right? For anybody viewing this, we're in April. We're beginning of April right now. Or listening to this, viewing or listening to this. We're in the beginning of April. I went to India for 96 hours. Because,
oh my God.
because I had to come back to like I live in Chicago, but I had to get to New York because I needed to like do some things. The speaking engagement, I had things, I have podcasts, I just need to be on the ground for like other stuff, right? I was in India for 96 hours, but granted, I actually did take the time. I did take time, right? And people do think I'm like so crazy, but like it's those little sprints of time that I can have right now, you know? And so it's like, and it's interesting because even in those 96 hours, I did like take a zoom out. And I had a moment and I was like, okay, cool. Now I know I need to do this.
Exactly.
This. You know
prioritize.
what I mean?
And then also I feel like whenever I zoom out, I'm like, wow, things are going a lot better than I thought. Because when you're so in it and you're constantly dealing with fires, like little tiny fires all the time, it can seem like your whole forest is burning down. But then you zoom out and you're like, oh, it's like a teeny tiny contained brush fire right here. It's not the entire forest.
Yeah.
And so I oftentimes zoom out and I'm like, wait, like this is actually going really, really well. And I just have a lot of moments of gratitude that I'm like, I truly feel like I am doing what I am. This is my purpose, at least in this stage of my life. Is this.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying this is it for 10 years, 20 years, but like just to get to have that experience, especially being at that law firm where I was like, it felt so soulless. And I was just like, and I was excelling there too. And I was like, I hate working here.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing? Like, this can't be it. And now I get to help people and improve their lives. And I'm creating something. And it's just, it's amazing, but it's tough.
It's so tough. Like the founder journey is so tough. And like,
especially as females.
Oh. Your CX is so great. That phrase is so last season at this point because at Customer, we believe in delivering incredible customer experiences. Introducing KIQ Agent Assist, the ultimate CX team AI sidekick built on our CRM to give agents superhero capabilities and efficiency. When building KIQ Agent Assist, we had goals. Get rid of long customer wait times and increase the speed of customer resolution. Provide the CS team with real-time data for personalized prompts, delegate mundane tasks for AI, and free up your agents. But we didn't stop there. We wanted to deliver more. Check out KIQ Agent Assist amazing features, the suggested responses, the automatic two-way translation in 53 languages, and conversation summaries. Upgrade your customer experience with KIQ Agent Assist. Try it today and see the difference. Customer delivering incredible CX every time. As a woman in the space, did you find it really hard to get funding?
So on the one hand, yes, I'd say yes in general. So to date, I've raised about $4.1 million. My first $2 million were all from my friends and family. So that was easy. It was all people from my law firm. It was people that had known me. That was believed in me. That was easy. The second $2 million, that was coming from high net worth angels and VCs. That was a totally different experience. I found that I had to jump through so many more hoops than my male counterparts and what I was hearing that they were raising and the questions they were being asked. I had to provide so much more, not only documentation, but answers to complete hypothetical scenarios. And at this time, we were pre-launch when I was raising this money. Like they were asking, I was like, this, it's not even in the near future. I can make up whatever answer I want. But it was for my main investor, it was 6 to 8 months of diligence before they came in. And it got to a point where it was like, shit or get off the pot. You know, it's like, are we investing or not? And it was hard. I felt like as a woman, because I felt like when I would try to assert myself and explain why I didn't agree with things, I would be like cut off or told like to not say those things. And that was really hard. It definitely, like, I would have like ego moments where I felt like disrespected, where I was like, if they're treating me this way, why would I want them as an investor? How are they going to treat me as an investor? But I also have so many incredible investors that immediately believed in me and were like, where I had such an easier experience. But what I will say, quite honestly, is I have had an easier time raising money from men than I have from women.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Really?
I've had a much easier time raising money from men. Yeah, it's a really unfortunate thing that's happening. A lot of, I think, female founders, we all talk about it kind of behind the scenes about these people who are saying they're all for supporting female founders and that's their mission. And it's a painful experience trying to raise money with them. It's like, it's really, really, really hard. The questions are way tougher. They're asking way more of you. They're also predatory in their terms as well. And I honestly think it's still related to the discrepancy between men and women, where a lot of these female funds, they're having a hard time raising money themselves and they have male LPs. And so they're set up to have these really outrageous returns, which, you know, as we know, female leaders and fund managers and entrepreneurs outperform their male counterparts. But because they feel that pressure, it then trickles down to where they're being hyper selective. But it's like, how can you say you're supporting female founders, but then you make it so difficult to get capital? And so I've been really focused trying to get more females on my cap table, but it's a struggle that myself and I know numerous other female founders have experienced, and we all talk about behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. And a fact, like a little stat that like I just want to throw out there is that we know that funding for female founders has decreased even more. It was like 2% last year. Now it's like 1.7%. Like, how could you, when you're already at the bottom, how could you go lower? But something that I find curious is that, to me, it seems like there's more and more female funds popping up. There's more and more female investors. So why isn't there more money going to female founders? Yeah.
I know. I don't have the answer.
I don't have the answer either.
Or like,
yeah, but I think that that exists, and it's a little bit of a hot take, and I'm like a little nervous to say these things but it's just coming from a place of being like, I think that we could do better. Like,
I know we could do better for ourselves.
100%. And it's, so I actually, at USC, my honors thesis was the assertive female leader, boss or bitch. And it was all about the queen bee syndrome. And what the queen bee syndrome is that women, particularly in male dominated environments, because they had to struggle and claw their way to the top, they then feel, the ones that have this feel that other women should also have to struggle. Whereas men and the boys club is much more like, when a guy reaches the top, they're happy to pull up another guy, but women aren't like that. So it's like these women who have reached the pinnacle of their career, not then turning around and looking down and being like, what other women can I be lifting up?
Dude,
because there's enough room for all of us at the top. I say this all the time. Abundance mindset.
Abundance mindset. Exactly. I say an abundance mindset, but also I say there's enough. Everybody can eat.
Everyone can eat. And
everybody can eat.
100%. And so it's interesting. So like, I mean, yeah, I've been able to raise. I think that's because I, one, have a product that people understand immediately. Also, the traction behind it is there, and it makes we have great metrics as well. So like, we have a very healthy business, and hopefully some of it has to do with, you know, me as well as like the jockey of the horse. But on the other hand, I've also experienced like what I feel like sometimes could be sexism for sure. And not just from males, but also from women too.
Yeah.
It's tough.
I completely agree with you. And like, I can't speak on the funding piece because it's like we have like two different types of businesses.
Also, you're an investor.
I know. Yes. We didn't even like talk about that.
Disclosure.
Little disclosure. Yeah. But funny enough, this is the first time we've ever met.
Yes. You're like, by the way, I invested. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Thanks, Drew.
Yeah. Thanks, Drew.
But yeah, no, I definitely invested because I actually, personal opinion, right? Drew brought it to the table to me, and I also want to just do more angel investing. Yeah. So like it was like one of the first like angel investings that I did last year. And Drew brought it to the table, but I was like, oh, Sam Coxe, like this bad bitch, let's go. Yes, I was like, I don't give a fuck what she's selling me. I'm buying.
Yes. You know my God. You have to bet on the jockey. Sometimes it's not just the horse, you have to bet on the jockey.
I bet on the jockey more than I'm, but maybe this is just my mentality. I'm going to be honest with you, but I bet on the jockey more than I do the actual horse.
Totally.
And maybe that's because it's like, I want to see, and I also am only doing angel investing, so I'm like writing small. I'm not writing millions of dollars, but I can like spread out and invest in like the individual, because like I'll be real with you, I'm granted I've never had to raise, right? Like I don't have a product, but I have so many fucking people in my life tell me no so many times, right? Just so many times, and I talk about this a lot. I talk about this very openly, but like, I've had people in my career literally just be like, you're too rough around the edges, or you need to do this, or, oh, your art school degree is not going to get you anywhere. I've even had family members telling me this stuff. And I look back and we talk about that queen bee syndrome thing, right? But like, I'm not trying to be the queen bee, but like, I get to I don't think I'm like at the fucking top of everything, but I'm like, I'm chilling. I'm chilling. Like I'm living life. You know what I mean? Like I worked at Feastables. I have like a very good like pedigree, right? But I fucking worked hard for that pedigree.
Yes.
You know? And so my point is, the reason I'm saying this stuff is that I had a lot of people in my life tell me no. A lot of people in my life tell me I'm never going to do this, or not believe in what I'm going to do. That like, now that I've like kind of have something, I always want to bring people to the top. I always want to bring people, like, I'm a loyal bitch, okay? Like, straight up. Like, here's a good example of this. Like, granted, she's in the room right now, but for anybody listening, but like my homegirl, Emmy, right? Like, she was like, I'm leaving my job and I don't really know what I'm gonna do. And I was like, we get on a call. And I was like, okay, girl, let's just make a position for you at the agency. Well, you're going to go do this, and this, and the content marketing. And then now like we have the podcast and we're bringing that along the ride. But like, and like she's doing content marketing for that, right? And like, and creating roles. But my point of bringing this up is like, I'm not trying to be egotistical of like, oh my God, like her success is my success. I don't mean that. I mean like, everybody can fucking eat.
Everyone can eat.
If you have an opportunity, you give somebody that opportunity.
100%. And you just never know. Like, so I have some amazing women that I work with all the time. One is Maggie Sellers.
I've never met Maggie, but
she is incredible. Things. I love her so much. She is such a girl's girl, and she is a powerful, successful woman who is never competitive. She's never like, she's such an abundance mindset sort of person that it is like, she has been nothing but supportive. I have like Jenny Fielding from Everywhere Ventures, who's like so supportive, so smart. And then I don't know if you know Courtney of Nori Irons.
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh. She's just so amazing. And so when I got my anchor check-in, she does consumer electronic hardware as well. And like, us girls got to stick together in this journey of ours that we decided to go on. And as soon as my anchor investor came in, and just knowing what a badass female she is and what an amazing business she has and a great product, I immediately brought her company to my investor. And I was like, if you're doing consumer electronic investing, like, this is another awesome company. And I know that her like business model is great, because they are my anchor investor like was much more private equity based than VC based. So they were very, very, every stone was unturned, which was frustrating over 8 months. I was like, let's wrap it up. Let's go. But anyways, getting to do that and help her, and she now has helped me in so many ways. Yeah. She's someone I can call and be like, what are you seeing with CACs right now? Like, is your meta out of control? Like, what are you seeing? Or we share a lot of service providers now because we've been burned so many times by these agencies, these experts. we've been burned. So it's great to be able to share notes. And again, like there's enough room for all of us.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not looking at it as like any sort of competition. It's like, I see it as cooperation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's cooperation. I think it's just like, it's the abundance mindset.
Yes.
Too. Everybody can eat.
And
Like, all
it's karma.
these things.
It's karma.
Oh, karma. Girl.
It's karma.
Girl,
Yes.
do not get me started
Yes.
on that, because I can tell you there have been some ladies out there that have done me wrong.
Done you dirty.
And I'm like, that's okay.
Yeah, I'll come
That's
back.
okay. Noted. And men too. Like, it's not just ladies.
Oh, yeah.
Like, noted. And I'm like, that's okay. I see you.
100%.
I ain't doing nothing.
No.
But
And
karma
like
gonna get you.
100%. And I think I had someone who like kind of attempted to cyberbully me on LinkedIn the other day, which was now funny, but it was like not kind of funny in the moment. I definitely was sad about it. And I texted Maggie because she is like all over TikTok and she deals with crazy trolls. And I was like, I can't even imagine how you must feel. Like I got this comment and she said two things. She's like, one, the haters are my motivators.
Yes.
And she's like, heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah,
that is the mindset. It's just shifting the mindset.
Yeah.
Like this comes with the gig. And it's so important to have that community of around you that you can just like level set with to be like, I'm feeling like a piece of shit today.
Yeah.
And this person you look up to and that you admire is like, I feel like that every other day.
Yeah.
And so you're like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Let's be pieces of shit together.
Yeah. I know, right? I know. I mean, you're always going to get somebody out there who's not going to agree with this. And like, I've actually said this stuff to like my homeboy, Nick.
Yeah.
Charma.
Oh, love. He's an investor.
Yeah. I'm interviewing him next.
Yes. Oh, we love Nick. I love Nick.
Yeah. We love Nick. We love Nick. But
He's
like,
a great guy.
Nick is a great guy.
Right.
And like on it, okay, actually, you want to talk about like even men supporting women? Nick and I know each other. How Nick and I met, and shout out to Ari Murray too, because I met them both at the same time. Because Feastables, we worked with Charma Brands.
Ah, yes, okay.
And I actually would pretty much like internally like manage that Charma Brands like relationship, right? Like,
right.
So like I got really close with like Nick and Ari, but here's what I was specific to Nick and Ari. You get your moment too. Like that's I'm looking at the camera if you're viewing this. Like you're my fucking homegirl. But I just want to point this out though. So Nick, you know, I think he like saw like something like I could have a voice. I was like, you know, like whatever, wanted to like support and stuff. And he would put me up for a lot of things.
Yes.
He would bring me to the table
Yes.
to go and like do content, speaking engagements, all these things, and helped me like honestly helped me build my like personal brand. Even like the agency stuff when like I was unsure, he's like helped me like get like work with stuff on him. I work with like multiple projects with them. But my point is though, is he's always brought me to the table.
Always.
He's always brought me to the table, and he will always bring other people to the table and help other people. And it's not just men, it's women. And like, I can tell you that like he has supported all of us women, right?
He's been so supportive of me on my journey and Flaus. And he's always, I'll like send him quick Slacks and DMs and he's always responding to me. He's always inviting me to things, trying to like lift me up and include me. And yeah, it's just so appreciated. And I have a lot of different partners that are like that. Doris Dev, my engineering firm, they're always including me in things, always connecting me with like really cool founders. And yeah, but no, Nick is just like, not only is he brilliant, obviously, and he's just an absolute, just like savage at what he does, but he's also a really, really good person.
He's such a good person.
Yeah, and
dude.
such a nice guy too.
Dude, I love that man.
Like, I couldn't believe it when I found out he was like 26. Can we discuss? I was like, you must be in your 30s. Girl. He's like, I'm 26. I like spit out my wine. I was like, I'm 32. And I was like,
I'm older than all of you.
I was like, oh my God. He's like, how old are you? 28? I was like, no. Just add a couple more years.
I know. I'm older than all of you, but he is one of my best homies, and he's very supportive. And but the reason why we got onto Nick was actually because Nick, like when you make it to the fucking top.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
People want to bring you down.
People want to bring you down.
And
I'm not going to bring up like all the things because I don't want to get involved in like the controversial stuff.
And I don't know all the details either. So I don't know.
Exactly. I wasn't there.
No.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say the one thing I've always said to Nick when things happen or the internet's trying to fucking cancel his ass is one, stop being a little boy.
Yeah.
But two. Haters are always gonna fucking hate, man.
Oh my God.
And like when you got haters, you know you made it though.
Oh my gosh. I mean,
that's the thing.
It's like where they say like no press is bad press. And it's just like, clearly he's doing something of consequence for the fact that people want to like talk about him and but it's hard. And it still affects you. And I think too, that's
for
probably
sure. He's also a Cancer, so he's very emotional too.
There you go. Whereas like I'm much more of like, I'm an Aquarius. So I already feel like such a weirdo and that no one understands me. So I'm kind of like, whatever, I'm off in my own little world, but it's tough. And kind of going back, I think this relates a lot to what you were saying about hearing a lot of no's. And in the fundraising process, it is so normal to hear no's. And I think it's so important. The first couple of no's I got, it hurt. And it's very common to feel self-conscious. Like, am I dumb? Is this product dumb? Does this not make sense? Blah, blah, blah. It is so important to reframe that mindset that every no gets you closer to your yes.
I know.
Every no, thank you, next.
Yeah.
And I like to get to my no's as fast as possible.
Yeah.
So I am not someone that just, when I'm speaking to investors, I take one call with an investor and then they wire me money. Yeah. I do not do multiple calls. I do not do the back and forth. I'll send them the information and then it's like, are you in or are you not? Yeah. And if you're hesitant, like keep me on your list. Soft nose is a no. Yeah. I'm like, thank you, next.
Yeah.
You know, because I want to get to my yeses.
Yeah.
And it's so important to be able to reframe that, because if you get down on every single no you get, it's going to be just a slog, because you're going to get hundreds of no's all the time. Yeah. And you just have to just constantly be like, is there a grain of truth in that? Is there something I can learn from the no, which there often is? And then other than that, it's like off of the back of a wet duck. It's like, okay. Yeah. Bye. Yeah. Behind me. Is this going to matter in 5 years? No. Doesn't deserve 5 more seconds of my thought.
Yeah. Trust me, though. I've had plenty of no rejections from jobs that I thought I really needed, right?
And then you don't get it and you're like, thank God.
Yeah. And it's thank God. But girl, I know I have had those moments laying on the floor crying. Okay, actually, I'll tell you, the one job that I thought I was going to get, this is a few years ago, right? And because I was like very desperate. Actually, this is a really great story, because I was very desperate to get out of the job that I was in, because like I could see the writing on the wall. Like I'm blessed. I'm blessed in my life to have an aunt who is also a psychic medium. Okay.
I just saw a psychic a couple weeks ago. Game changing.
I know.
I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm blessed to also have an aunt who is a psychic medium. Okay. Anyway, I've seen the writing on this wall. So I was so desperate to get out, because I also I will be honest with you, as much as I have an abundance mindset, I've lived in a long time in a scarcity mindset.
Of course.
Because I've gone from having nothing.
Right.
You know, like my mom worked 50 different jobs just to get me into a private school in New Orleans. So I had a good education. Right. And to have Doc Martens on my on my feet. Right. And I know that sounds very spoiled, but it's not to point out spoiled, my mother had nothing, right, and would do everything
to give you a better life,
to give me that, right? Yeah. But the point is, so it's I did kind of grow up in a very scarcity mindset of if I don't have this, I'm not going to be able to eat over here, right? So anyway, I gave it my absolute all for this job that I thought I was actually a shoo-in for, because it was this when I was in SAS, because I was a stand for this company, right? Still am, but super stand for this company. And I went through all these processes, whatever, interviews, and I got no. And I just remember breaking down, because I was just I put my eggs in this basket.
Yeah, it's hard.
And I had been through so many other interviews with other companies, right?
You were I got this. Okay.
But get this. Had I gotten that job, a couple weeks later, Feastables approached me on LinkedIn. Right. And had I gotten that job,
you would never, right.
I would have never ended up in the place that I am today.
Exactly.
Right? Because Feastables, it's not just about Feastables, it's about working in e-commerce, right? I have learned, I think I'm on, learned so much about my entrepreneur journey, right? That I've learned from working in these jobs that wait, I can be my own boss at some point.
Exactly.
I can do my own things. And my point is had I never gotten that no, I never would have worked at Feastables, and I would not be here where I am today.
100%. Everything's happening exactly as it should. And it goes back to that same lesson of just trying to detach yourself from the highs and the lows of life, the yeses and the nos, and just even things that seem great at the time can end up being something that turns sour and bad.
Dude.
You know, like, I mean, we've all been there. I've had plenty of those, even on my own journey with Flaus. I've had plenty of those. And it's just trying to, which is easier said than done, but I think that's the true like sign of maturity too. It's just finding peace and like trying to just stay like leveled of like the no's are no's, the yeses are yeses. And it's like, we'll see how it all shakes out, and just having faith in the universe.
Yeah.
That everything, I'm on the path that I'm destined to be on. And like, I like to feel that way of like, I just give it up to something else where I'm just like, it's all working out how it should. It brings me peace to feel like I don't need to be in control of every single aspect of every single thing in my life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this though. So like bringing it back into like the logical brain mind. So you started building Flaus like, while you were working full time. At what point were you like, okay, I'm okay to leave?
Yes. So I worked on Flaus for about a year and a half while I was still an attorney at Skadden, which was really difficult. But luckily, this was all happening during COVID.
Yeah.
Which was a huge blessing in disguise because I was at home. No one could see what I was doing. So I was just doing it on the side. And obviously, a lot of legal work slowed down at that point in time. But what made me realize I had to leave, it was actually two different things. The first thing was I was out raising money, and it's really important when you're going out to raise money that you listen to the feedback of investors. So I would have investors be like, you know, I first got my first 25K just from literally a printed photo I had. And then the next money I raised, people wanted to see a survey result. I went and did my survey, raised some more money. Then people wanted to see if they would sign up for an email wait list, went and did that. And then pretty soon people wanted to see that people were willing to put down their credit card for it. I'm like, who's going to put down a credit card for a product that doesn't exist? That's what led me to do the Indiegogo campaign. And I knew that could not go public while I was at the law firm. So that really forced me to like put a stake in the ground to be like, I'm leaving. But even before giving that notice and leaving, I had this moment at the law firm where I was on this super intense Caesars deal, and I was doing diligence. I was writing this memo. It was like 11 p.m. at night. We were getting ready to celebrate Galentine's in the office, and we were making each other flower bouquets. And I remember I stopped doing the diligence and I went to go make this flower bouquet, and it took me maybe 20 minutes. I came back to doing my diligence memo, and I thought, I just got more intrinsic value out of making a flower bouquet than I've had at 1 second at this job. And that's when I was like, I have to leave. I have to leave. Because at this point, I started to see traction with the business already. I had the survey. I had the email wait list. And again, all these things were green light after green light. So once I knew I then had to do the Indiegogo campaign, it was like, okay, I'm going to put in my notice, launched the Indiegogo campaign about a month and a half after I left the law firm. And my first 15 investors were all my partners and colleagues at the firm. They were so supportive, but it was so scary leaving. I was so scared. I had to get a personal coach. I got an executive coach to help me because it felt like a breakup, you know, where I was like, I felt like almost like I owed something to this law firm that literally had taken everything from me. Like
it's not even a law firm. Right. It's any job.
It's any job. Right. Yeah. And I was like, it was my only real job I've had too. I was straight through from undergrad to law school, now this firm. And so leaving was really scary. And it was funny. It was interesting. I talked to, I had some of my partners be like, I want to invest in whatever you're doing. I was invited to join the partnership track while I was at the firm. And I was like, you guys can't tell how miserable I am here. Then we are so disconnected. But I had a couple say, I want to invest. And then I had a couple of others be like, oh, so what are you going to go off and go do? Because most people leave to either go in-house or go to another law firm. And I was like, I'm going to start an electric flosser. And they were like, well, you can always come back here. I had some thinking I was absolutely going to fail. And then I had some others, even from the highest corporate positions at Skadden Corporate, massive, huge law firm, reach out to me and say, I wish I would have left and done this. I had an idea. I didn't take that gamble on myself. And I've now been here for 30, 40 years. And I wish I would have done what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that was really, it was like really touching and also kind of like sad. And I think that was one of my like North Stars that got me through leaving a job. As you said, it's so scary to do and take this risk, is that you will never regret an investment in yourself.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, I know. And for better or worse.
For better or for worse.
At least you tried.
At least I tried. And that is like, that's why I kept thinking, I was like, God forbid someone's out there and they do this. I will forever live with regret that I didn't try.
Yeah.
And now it's like, let's say this all goes to shit. Everything just goes sideways and south and it just plummets. I can always go back to being a lawyer.
Yeah.
That job isn't going anywhere.
Like you still have that.
Yeah. And also I'm even more valuable now because now I have the business acumen.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's just trying to be like, life is short. None of this really matters.
Yeah, yeah.
Just take the risk, take the gamble. And if you fail quickly and go back to another job.
I know. I think it's like, it's all worth the risk. Like,
it's all worth the risk.
You know, and like, we never got to marketing or
I know. I know. We need to hear from your listeners if they want us to do like another session.
Yeah, because I think like the founder story is like so interesting, right?
It's very unique.
But I want to like leave like on like this one thought, right? And my own story too is like I think back so often that like I told you guys like about like okay my mom and like how she would like work so many different jobs,
of course,
and like she always wanted to do something else, right? And she really loved what she did. She was a nurse, like she loved it. She taught nursing. She did all these things, right? But she always wanted to do something else. And she had this like, I have that same drive that she has because like she like moved around the country and like I took me with her. You know, I've lived in multiple different places, and then but she never got to do. Like there's certain things in life that she never got to do. Like she wanted to like buy an RV and like do this.
Yeah,
or, like,
I love that.
You know, these little things, right? And so I think about that often because it's like she wanted to travel or she wanted to do these pieces, but she always got so caught up with working for the man, like somebody like working for somebody else, right? And she always wanted to like start something new. And so like I feel like my life now is like the jobs will always be there.
Always.
The skill, you're never losing the skills, right? So why not try on the founder hat for a minute?
Exactly. Just try it on, and especially
if that's what you want.
Exactly. If that's something and now I feel like it's easier than ever to start a company too. Like there's so many incredible resources out there to start something, and you'll never regret an investment in yourself. And you know, there's so many founders that like it took them 2, 3, 4 failed startups before they got to their successful one. Yeah. And so you just can't be afraid of failure. It's just like you're failing up, right? It's like everything's a learning lesson. And and I love that story about your mom and like how supportive and what gave you that drive to do and achieve everything you're doing, but also balancing it with the abundance mindset. And I think having that inherent scrappiness and desire to achieve and create a better life for yourself and your family and your future, like, I mean, that'll get you so far. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. Well, I do also have this dream of like owning multiple companies, brands, all this stuff, but also a boring business.
Yeah. Right.
The boring business will fund everything else.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. My dream is to like, hopefully I get to a really successful place with Flaus. I'm able to, eventually get to an acquisition. That's my hope with my M&A background. And then it's kind of now full circle to this queen bee thing. I really think that my next calling will be investing in female founders and supporting other women.
I know. I want to do some sort of like community supporting women. I actually recently did like a conference called She Innovates.
Oh, wait. I feel like, was this with SheMark? Did you do a SheMark?
No.
Okay.
It was She Innovates and like Shopify. We did it a couple weeks ago here.
Oh, really?
Now you're on my list. So.
Okay, good. I would love to come.
I will do more.
I would love to come.
But I did it with like my homegirls, Nicole Harvey. Shout out to her. It was actually her idea, and then like Dylan Duche and like myself.
Oh, Dylan. Oh, wait, I saw this. I love Dylan.
Yeah, and we like put it all. But again, women supporting women.
Oh, it's so important, and I mean, like I'm happy that I obviously have you, and you've been supportive, and like. Which we just found out before this. I'm
an investor.
Yeah. Like, wait. And I was like, I know. But I mean, I would love to absolutely be included in that. I think we just need more of that. And there is a lot happening. There are a lot of people who are in this space who are really all about building up this female network and collaborating, and like hats off. I feel like we've named some of them here today. And I think it's just our duty of like seeing like the need for it for us to be like also pushing that forward and supporting other women. Like we were talking about the 4 a.m. Skin Girls. Yeah. We love them. And I'm like, it's so important like to be supporting, and they help me, I help them. And it's like, let's just share notes, because we can all learn and succeed together.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I wish we could continue talking, but our time has ended. Like a Boyz II Men song, we have reached the end of the road. Sam, it has been an absolute pleasure, and I hope that we can do this again.
I would love that.
So we can actually talk about customer journey.
Yes. Customer journey, marketing, branding, retention.
Retention.
I think we could go in on retention.
Oh, yeah.
So important.
I know, but we will.
We will.
Well, maybe we'll do some long form content.
Yeah, I would love that. Okay.
Sam, tell everybody where they can find you.
Yes. So you can find, I guess, me personally on LinkedIn if you want, under Samantha Coxe, but also Flaus. We're on Instagram and social as Go Flaus. So GOFLAUS. And our website is www.goflaus.com. And hopefully you'll be seeing us in lots of other places to come. We have a very, very exciting 12 months ahead of us.
Amazing. We'll put all of the places in the show notes. And I appreciate everybody tuning in for another week of The Juice. And you hear me next week. Hey, wow, you made it to the end of the episode. That means that you like me and I like you, which also means you should subscribe to this show.